Hello, and welcome to Right to Be Wrong, the show that revives the art of conversation, accommodating varied views on sports, culture, politics, world events, and every topic under the sun. After all, you have a right to be wrong. Here are your hosts, Dave and Tony.
Tone, it's that time of the week again where I'm going to bombard you with bullshit and annoy you. Yeah, we're back in studio after a bit of a break. Not that our listeners would know because we still drop things each week. But how have you been? Been a few weeks?
I've been good, Dave. I feel supported. I feel courageous tonight.
Courageous?
I feel like I'm with one of my own.
Well, I noticed that you're wearing an old Socceroo's shirt. And, of course, there is a reason because we have our first guest on the Right to Be Wrong podcast this evening. Hence, we're having a drink. So we've actually got a legend of Australian soccer. We've got former Socceroo captain, 27 caps, captained Australia, played in the days when you actually had to work for a living before you kick the ball around. So a welcome to Mr. Stan Ackerley. Welcome, Stan. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thanks very much for asking me to come on. It's a pleasure.
Well, before we start diving into your life history, your career, all the things you've achieved, the amazing memorabilia that everything has a story behind, cheers. Cheers to our first guest. Thanks for coming on.
Enjoy.
Cheers.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See, the podcast is improving, Tone. We now have alcohol while we're
Indeed.
recording.
Indeed.
Things are looking up. That's because of you, Stan.
Oh, that's good.
I did say Stan's come on. He's giving us his time, his valuable life experience, so we better get him at least a damn beer. So, in that regard, the episode, as I mentioned to you, will be called From Stan Ackerley, From Man U to Socceroo. So it's quite a journey, Stan. So tell us what life was like back in the day when your school, where you got to in school, when you realised you had a little bit of talent with the feet, and how that led you towards your first couple of years signed with Man U.
Yeah. Well, I come from a family of sportsmen. Yeah, I had 4 or 5 brothers, I had 1 sister, and we were South Manchester, and actually that area of Manchester was a big Manchester City area. But unfortunately, my father was a bit of a scout for the city part. But I started off with school football, local football, then started getting picked in what you call North, South, East and West rep football, then into Manchester Junior Boys, then eventually into the bigger stuff. When you get into the bigger stuff, all the big clubs are looking at you. And fortunate for me, Manchester United came around, and I was, 14 and a half when I joined them. And I went right into Manchester United from the day I left school.
So did that ruffle feathers at home, not signing with Man City?
No, not really, because them days there was a lot of codes in lots of ways. If your dad worked there and all that, they didn't like any of the family going there. It's not like it is now. It's all totally different. The concept of the game is totally changed. For the good. To me, it's for the good, People complain about money, but hold on. It's got to move around, so players get good money. I'm quite happy what I've done. Well, somebody's got to start at the bottom, and that's why they're getting this good stuff, not only over there, but over here as well,
So 14 and a half, that's very young to be signed to be a professional in any sport. You must have clearly been showing a bit of talent very early.
Yeah, well, I played for Cheshire Boys because I lived in Cheshire, Lancashire Boys, Manchester Boys. And when you're playing for Manchester Boys, you're all over the country. You're not just playing in Manchester. You're like the big tournaments. You're in London, you're down at Southampton, you're up in Newcastle. You're all over the place.
In front of a lot of scouts.
A lot of scouts and whatever. And they come and, feed you, see if you can, get into these clubs. And naturally, I thought, well, I'll go to the Red Half of Manchester, and it was a big ask because it's a big blue half of Manchester, where I'm from. And so I went to the Red Half. There's no problems.
So what's a kid at 14 and a half getting in terms of contract? What are the wages looking like in the day of semi-professional?
Well, it wasn't semi-professional. What you did in them days, there was not like there is now. They have what they call the apprentice scheme. Well, now, before them days, you worked on the ground. I was lucky. A lad who played with me at Manchester United, played with Manchester Boys, Nobby Stiles, who played in the World Cup, wherever, when England won the World Cup. They were lucky. We were on changing room duty. where the other players were doing cleaning the ground, sweeping the terrace, sometimes working on the pitch, because we had Irish boys, Scottish boys, Welsh boys, and all that. And that's where there was 10 of us, and then as soon as the pros had gone out training, we'd get changed, go and do our training, finish before them, get everything ready for them in the changing rooms, and then in the afternoon we'd do the same again, and we're doing that all the time. But,
so you're training twice a day, morning session, afternoon session, and then you're doing the work for the seniors morning and afternoon.
Like me and Nobby Styles would have to keep the changing rooms clean, make sure there's no muck on the ground, make sure there's the changing rooms all spotless for them.
So what's a kid at 14 and a half in an apprentice program earning?
It was quite interesting. I'll go to one later when I first signed pro, but I was on about £9 a week.
And what would a weekly wage have been there for an average bloke's wage working these sort of menial job?
I had two brothers working down the mines.
That's hard, right?
And they were doing 12-hour shifts. I think they were coming home about the same money.
Jeez.
My dad was a veteran turner for Rolls-Royce on the engines and whatever. He was coming home not much more than me.
So was there any resentment from your brothers that they're at 12 hours in a coal mine? And
No.
Or was there a real pride?
There was a lot, they were so fancy getting all this money for, kicking the ball around. Then later on, because what we did, I was basically living away from home, but you come home and you put your wage packet in the table, and my mother said, Stanley. When she called me Stanley, I knew I was in trouble.
Yeah, it's just like a wife. Mums and wives, you get the full name, you're in deep shit.
Stanley, where have you got all this money from? And that was the tale, that was it. And, you just live with, because a lot of things in the Manchester then days, because you played for Manchester United or Manchester City, you got the cinemas, into the cinemas for nothing, into the billiard halls for nothing, into this for nothing. We used to go into the YMCA and all them places, because
a lot of perks.
Because you had the club badge there, pull your club pass out and into the cinemas and what have you. And it was all, it's a different type of life.
So how many years were you in the apprentice program before you then signed your first professional?
I signed pro at 17. You're not allowed to sign professional till you're 17. And I signed pro then. And my first wages, it was in July, which is out of season. And my first wages was £18 a week.
So it doubled.
Yeah. Then in the winter, you got £20 a week. Plus, win, lose, and all depends what team you're playing in. I started naturally in the B team. Unfortunately, what happened the first year was naturally the Munich air crash, and a lot of players all moved up, and you got a bigger bonus as it went on.
So for a lot of our listeners, you just referenced something very important there. There's a team that was known as Busby's Babes.
Yeah.
Now, to my right is the soccer aficionado that will know more than me, but to my knowledge, they were known as Busby's Babes because they were quite a young first division side, and there was a lot of talent there, to the best of my knowledge. So this is like, imagine any first division, any premier sports team. Imagine a plane crash and basically 70-80% of your first side, whether you're talking NBA, NFL, soccer, rugby league, 70% of your first team is killed in the crash, let alone others that are injured. What was the atmosphere like at the club as a young guy that's just come off the apprentice program, first professional, and the first year that you're professional, this takes place?
Well, you saw him going away, to play. Unfortunately, you didn't see them come back.
So were many of them friends, or was it
a lot of friends
for you?
No, because I worked, and me and Nobby Styles worked in the changing room.
So you'd already been there nearly 3 years at this point.
And we see them every day.
Yeah, that's right.
And they were all youngsters, a lot of them who got killed, except for a few older ones. Because why they call the Busby Babes? United was tipping on whether to go, not relegated. So what Busby did, he decided, and his offsider, Jimmy Murphy, decided to, right, we'll get rid of a load of the old ones and throw all these young kids in. And they threw a lot of young kids in. And that's where Busby Babes came from, because they were all young kids.
So where were
Well,
they
so-
off to? Because I can't recall where the plane was. They were off to international matches.
Yeah, they were playing in the European Cup.
Yep.
I think Red Star Belgrade they were heading for, and it was in Munich when they had the crash. Plane was taken off, and because of the bad weather, it's a fuel dump at the end of the runway, you know.
Well, today, we see these things and hear about these things instantaneous, but how long did it take before you'd actually heard the plane had crashed and what had occurred?
Well, we were actually they were on the way back, and it was for mid-afternoon. We'd finished our stint of training, and we got called into the gym. We were told there'd been a air crash. We don't know how many people passed away.
So at this point, for you, I'm sure there's sort of mixed emotions over the following days, the following weeks.
Oh, yeah.
Lost friends that you know, but on the other side, does this present an opportunity for a young man coming through? These are the harsh realities of professional sport that you're obviously, as humans do, you're mourning the loss of friends, you're getting over the shock. But as a professional that knows that you need an opportunity, do you recall anything that, those mixed emotions going through your mind?
No, it never occurred to us. It never occurred to us, let's just see what happens. And that was it. Yeah, some players went straight up, to play in the first grade, from the B team, A team, of reserves into the first team. And it's just one of them things. A few of the lads that recovered from the injuries and come back playing and whatever. But that all ended up. There was no. They signed a few players from different clubs because they were out of season for sizing players. The English FA let them sign one or two players, and that was it. It was it's a weird feeling, you can't describe it. You see them today and they've gone tomorrow. It's not the first time you've seen them things happen, and it's. Well, that's why they got the name, because a lot of young kids go in and they call them actually, the press picked up, called them the Busby Babes. And it's lived with them over the years.
So Man United, they were in their Champions League now. Back then it was called the European Champions
European Cup, yeah.
So they'd obviously won the English First Division the year before. Yeah. They qualified for the champion. When that horrific accident happened, how competitive were they in those next couple of years? Did they?
They were good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were just, drawing games, getting beat by 1-0 and whatever. And they were still bringing a lot of good players back, There's a few good lads who came through, played with me. There was the lad, Jimmy Nicholson, Irish lad, Ian Moyer, another. Then they had David Gaskell, a really good English lad from Wigan, who played in goals. So there was a lot of lads getting the opportunities. Because naturally, the boss, Matt Busby, was still sick. He was in Munich for good 4 or 5, maybe 6 months. So Jimmy Murphy, who had brought all those kids through, knew what we could do. Yep. And that was it. I moved up to a few games in the reserve grade, then back out and in and out, and it's and it was not a weird feeling, but you just got on with work. It was, it's classed as a job. You had to do it, and that's the way we were brought up. It's a job to be done, and they did it.
And at that time, Stan, where did you play? What position?
I was playing midfield and sometimes out wide. And come a funny thing, when I came to Australia, I'll jump ahead.
That's okay.
And a bloke in Melbourne, and he said, Ackerley, he said, you will never be a forward or a midfielder where your backside faces the ground. I make you the best fullback in this country. And, touch wood, I went on to do what I did in this country. Yeah. And this is part of life. You don't know until these things happen. Yeah. It's happened a few times with different players, So
just picking up on that, someone actually saying to you, like, from their point of view, looking at your position, feeling like you're playing out of position in terms of getting the best out of you, do you think that sort of advice from someone when you're still at Man U sees you having a longer career at Man U? If someone had said, look, I think you're a better left back.
Yeah, but it's I went from an English coaching to this John Emlyn. I'm not sure if he was a Czech or a German. And you see the game totally different.
To the English.
Totally different. the way.
And I think that's something we'll touch on later because
Yeah, it goes a long way.
like growing up, I remember watching English Division 1, English Division 2, which is now the Championship, and it was a certain style of game, right? Like, some of it was a long ball to the back stick for the big striker, right? And then knock it back across goal. Yeah. Whereas the Europeans technically, notionally, were always played a bit different,
has a big difference.
Whereas now it's all become a bit the same, right? There's no real difference, and we'll get to that. We'll get to that for sure. But tell me, Stan, so you're in the Man U system. At what stage did you go to yourself, let's go check out the colony down under, and like from a life perspective, what led to that decision?
Well, it's one or two or three things. Naturally, I met my wife. We courted.
And career killers.
Well, but no. Matt Busby and Jimmy Murphy loved it.
Yep.
When she got a steady girlfriend, why? They didn't have to go chasing out at nightclubs.
Yeah.
They knew you were in bed in time.
They knew you were home or doing this and doing that. Smart old men, because all the officials them days, like Murphy, and they say, I'll go to Jimmy Murphy and do a few more, were all ex-army. The discipline. I have to say, I'll go back a few. When we were on the ground stuff, we used to go into the ground, but when we left that ground, we stood in a line. There was 10 of us, right? And you untied your tie properly and done your right button. You'd be stood in front of the mirror for about an hour doing your tie.
Discipline matters.
Yep.
Even when I went to school, we had to have our tie done up in the top button.
And dude, look at your shoes.
Yep.
Shoes were dirty. You were in the boot room cleaning your shoes.
So these are foundational.
Yeah, presentation, isn't it? Presentation goes a long way. And and that's who it was. If you stood there talking to them and you weren't stood in a military type thing, nice and straight, they'll just look at you for ages until you straighten your legs up and do the right thing. And it's all discipline. Yeah. Because let's face it, it's not just one player going out in sport. These days it's 15 and 16, where now them days it was just 11 because there was no subs and nothing else. And it's a big thing in life, the discipline. As you know, it's dealing with kids these days. If you see any discipline, let me know where you can find it.
Yeah, it's very, very rare. So just back to Tony's question then, talk through that transition out of Man U. What was it that led you from Man U into Apia in Australia?
Well, first of all, I went to Oldham Athletic. I had a good season at Oldham Athletic. We got married, me and my missus, and a friend of mine at Oldham Athletic said, hey, I've had a massive good offer to go to Australia because Australia was just coming back into FIFA. And I said, well, what's it like? And this was Melbourne. So, where's Melbourne? In Australia. So we started looking at the money part of it. Everyone was paid for. Everything was good. It was good. And so I went down to Melbourne. And this lad who was going to come with me decided to bail out. He didn't come. But when I got down to Slavia, they were run by Czech people, terrific people. And there was a lot of English lads, Scottish boys coming out. And they had a lad who played for Arsenal, Johnny Sanchez, and Des Palmer, who played for Wales. All these lads come out. And we had a great run, and we won the Australian Cup.
And Stan, when was this? This was what, mid-60s or early?
Yeah, 65.
Wow. And you said Melbourne Slavia, correct?
Yeah.
Did you know if they're still around in some form?
Slavia was still, but apparently they were a Portuguese club. Last time I was back in Melbourne, apparently they're Portuguese run by now. They used to play at Port Melbourne.
Wow.
Now you can imagine, coming from a big club, and you went to Port Melbourne, and where's the grandstand? Where's this? There's a little changing rooms. Post there, and get playing. Then we wondered what these other 4 posts was at each end.
How funny.
Yeah,
how funny.
Australian rules on the next pitch. Hello.
That's for Australian soccer players. If you miss the goal, you still get a gold star.
But what we've come to, but we're dead lucky. We won everything in Melbourne. Then we played in the Australia Cup. And why I'm told, it's like I'm talking to you people now, and you'd look at me strange. You think, oh, what's that on the side of his face? Then I would go on my blood wouldn't acclimatise to Melbourne. I saw the specialist and they said, well, you'll have to have this done and that done. And anyway, we're playing the Australia Cup. Afterwards, I was talking to, Australia, to me, Australia's favourite footballer, and that was the great Joe Marsden.
Yeah, yeah.
And I said to Joe, hey, Joe, I said, look, I didn't call him Joe, I called him Mr. Marsden, Crawler. And I said, look, I may have to come to Sydney. He said, well, we got the club secretary. He said, you just let us know and we'll sign you now. That was after the game we played him.
So when you signed, did you have to have a job, or was there enough money that they'd covered?
They could have been, but you didn't want. You had the opportunity to get a job.
So where'd the money come from in 1965 to fund?
So they were getting sponsors. Sponsors was quite easy to get because there was a lot of new migrants.
Yep,
absolutely.
A lot of
Tony's
firm
parents
money and all that, and which is
it all came from Tony's parents, the whole lot,
and it was very good, And so I came to they said, right, when you're ready, when my wife had the baby, had my daughter, we said, okay, let's go. And sure enough, we packed our bags and came to Apia. Apia paid a fee for me. I don't know how much it was, and I had close on 10 years there, which is a good thing.
And so back then, because I think a lot of the history of Australian football has been washed away, right? And you don't.
I know.
And there's a whole session you could talk about that. But back then it was the Victorian State League, the New South Wales State League, and then the winners of all those would play the Australian Cup.
To play the Australia Cup.
So you might have seen recently, just now, the Australian Cup finals on this week.
I know.
With the next level down. So Marconi's playing South Melbourne at a venue to be confirmed. It could be in Sydney. But I think that's important because we all kind of assume that all these competitions have always been national. But for a lot of the time, it wasn't, right? The National League, I think, started in the late 70s.
Yeah. And, WA wasn't into it for a while.
That's right. Perth Glory only came in the early 90s.
And Adelaide had two teams in. Adelaide.
Yeah, and West Adelaide Hellas.
That was it. And it was good. I mean, in Melbourne, the crowds were very good in Melbourne. The main game every week was played at Olympic Park.
The old Olympic Park, right? That's where the Melbourne Storm started.
Yeah,
in the NRL. Yeah.
Played in Olympic Park and all that, and it was I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, Melbourne. But put it this way, my missus really likes Melbourne. I've got a granddaughter down there at the moment, living there, and we were down there a few months back. Irene turned around my missus and said, gee, it's nice in Melbourne. I thought, well, you can move down anytime you want. You know the good road back to Sydney, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. So when you're playing in Melbourne, is that where you get your first cap?
Yeah.
Which you've been kind enough to bring in. So Tony hasn't seen, I've had the pleasure of already seeing it. Stan has told me he's never worn this. So I think you should put it on now. So in perpetuity, everyone can always see in video Stan Ackerley wearing his first cap for the first time.
And do you notice the country?
North Korea. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Fuck you, Hunt. Bricks.
But mind you, they played in Cambodia.
Well, that's another story. Because we were told it was going to be in North Korea. And it's good. It's the first game.
Yeah, put that on quickly, Stan, just so everyone can say, I've seen Stan Ackerley with his first cap.
There we go.
So it's on. There you go. He's worn it. Finally.
Yeah.
Finally, after all these years, his first cap.
Yeah, we that situation cap.
And sorry, was that as part of the World Cup qualifiers for '66?
Yep.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. And we went there, North Korea. We played in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Something like 60,000 there. One of the great Australian players, Lance Sharaflute, was the captain. We scored first.
Just testing your memory there.
Can you hear the crowd?
Yeah.
Silence.
They scored 6, and it was like an earthquake.
Wow.
Yeah.
So when you score in it, back in the 60s, because it's very different. International sport today is very different. But back in those days where it's not common even for people to get on planes and go traveling for holidays, you're playing North Korea in Cambodia. you're scoring, the crowd's silent. Is there any fear? Is there any safety concerns? Like the crowd look like they want to start jumping the fence. And
No. But well, put it this way: everywhere we went, we saw a tremendous lot of work doing by not Cambodians.
Yeah,
North Korea were, they were in there doing it. They had been there apparently a couple of weeks before us.
training, preparing, getting ready.
Well, you haven't come up to our preparation. We went to Cairns.
Yeah.
For about 3 weeks.
Acclimatised to the humidity, right?
And with, if we won 14-0, it was a bad game.
Wow.
Because we had no opposition.
And back then, Stan, in terms of the World Cup qualifiers for 66, was there a group phase or was there some type of knockout? How did it go?
We just played North Korea.
Okay, so that was it.
That was just North Korea.
That was one game only?
No, 2 games.
2 games, okay.
2 games. Well, we just played North Korea.
Okay.
And them days, because North Korea was your first time in it.
Yep.
Because you know where they went. They eventually ended up in England. You know how far they went in England?
No, I'm not sure.
Well, they were beating Portugal. I'm not sure if it's 2 or 3-0, and they got beat 5-3 or 5-2.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I'd left the day before. I'd gone back to England. Me and my missus watched some of the game. We come back via New York. We watched some of the game in New York.
Wow.
But this is what happens in the now. They've got all these countries because FIFA used to be this there, but now you've got all these African nations, all these virtually all the islands in the Pacific, and all these things. So it's all totally, utterly changed.
And one of the things for me as not an absolute soccer nut and lover.
And hang on, one thing, Dave. For the rest of the podcast, we will call it football and not soccer.
All right. We all know something. This is all about Stan, this podcast. So I will acquiesce and call it football. So as a non-football aficionado, as opposed to my Italian-blooded wog nut to my right, one thing I don't understand about World Cups, well, I understand why, but to me, the concept of a World Cup is meant to be that in the finals, you've got the best. So it's the best 32. I do get a little bit sort of, I love the parochialism of Australia, that when Australia makes a World Cup, everyone's proud and it's great. And because it's Australia, I am behind it. But I do sometimes think when I see Italy miss out and some of these other countries miss out in their group stages, and we walk around like we're a genuine chance of winning the World Cup. Because to me, sometimes having us ranked 67th but making the top 32 because of the group stages and ensuring the TV coverage and commercial rights, that's why FIFA do it. But in the days you were playing, we didn't have a guaranteed, effectively, we didn't have a guaranteed entry in via our group stage.
No. Well, eventually...
for football.
Yeah, we'll go to the next ones afterwards.
So just quickly, Stan, how many teams were in the 66 World Cup? Was it 16?
16.
16, okay, go on. Thanks,
And
mate.
now it's 20.
Oh, now it's 48.
What?
In Melbourne, in the US, Mexico and Canada next June, it's 48 teams. Everyone's a winner.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it when I...
Can you believe it? It's going to be,
believe it.
I think, don't quote me on this, Stan, I think it's going to be,
Equatorial Guinea's a chance.
no, I think it's going to be 8, do the maths on this, 12 groups of 4. I got no idea how they're going to work it out, all right? But it literally is everyone gets a ticket and then FIFA will just sell the TV rights to everyone.
Yeah. But this, the second one, you talk about being broke up. We had to go to play a big tournament. Memory gets me in Saigon. I think it was Saigon. No. Anyway, one of them places, we qualified. No worries, we qualified. We're off to the UK.
This is for 70.
For 66.
66, yep.
So we get to the airport on the Friday and they said, don't leave. So why? They said, well, we've been told by FIFA we've got to go and play Rhodesia, which is Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe, yeah.
So let me clarify. You're at the airport returning from playing North Korea in Cambodia.
Yeah. No. This is the second one. After that,
right.
That was the only.
So at this stage, so you've played North Korea. Who's the second? So played Vietnam.
So the North Korea, they go off to England.
Yep.
We're out. So the next one in 3 years' time start
Yep.
for the next World Cup.
So this is the 70. So it's for the 1970 World Cup.
So we get to the airport. They said, right, you've got to be here tomorrow on Sunday morning. You're flying to Africa. Where? Africa. So we're off to Joburg. We were told at the phone it was going to Rhodesia or Zimbabwe. We didn't. We ended up in Lourenço Marques.
So
in Mozambique.
So is this
the second? So you're talking about.
So this is where you think you're already qualifying for the 1970 World Cup, and suddenly there's a curveball thrown, and you're being told while you're at the airport, meaning to leave to come home, don't leave the airport. Because you're now off to Africa because FIFA's changed its mind on how Australia, what Australia needs to do to qualify.
Yeah. So we played in there, played Rhodesia, right?
Which is now Zimbabwe for our very young listeners.
Then we're back in Joburg, and they turned around and said, there's a big change again. This is why we've got to go to Israel. So we go from there to Israel.
Straight there?
Yeah. Don't come home.
Because historically, Israel never had a home in terms of a UEFA or the Middle East. So then they used to chuck them with us
all over the place.
And then subsequent to 1970, there was multiple World Cups where they stuffed us up, to be quite honest, and beat us. But go on. So you've gone to Israel.
So we go to Israel. All right, we get beat 1-0. Straight onto a plane. Pretty sure we're into Baghdad. Baghdad to Hong Kong. Hong Kong to Sydney. I think we get back here. That was a Wednesday or Thursday, and we played on the Sunday.
You played Israel again?
Yeah. Too late again. Yeah.
And what?
That was my last international.
Yeah.
You'd been away for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks.
And can I ask them, what was the score in the second leg?
I think it was 1 each.
One each. So they went through. They went through on away goals. Yeah.
And so you had your ticket to the 1970 World Cup until FIFA throws this curveball of sending you to Rhodesia and Israel.
Yeah, and this is it.
So how did that make you feel?
Well, it's sad, you know.
You're allowed to stay pissed off.
No, it was, but it's sad. It's sad. It's a lot of because the squad got changed around about. Yeah, world politics in sport.
Absolutely,
and it happens all the time. Don't care what sport it is.
Yeah,
happens all the time.
We've done an episode to politics and sport next,
and it's been so big. So from there, and I said, well, you know.
Well, the population of Australia going back then, let alone the population that was watching football. See, I said football just for you, Tone.
Thanks, Dave.
Probably commercially, FIFA's looking at and saying we're not going to generate it. The revenue is better elsewhere. Where now, because even people like me being non-football diehards will actually watch a World Cup and will watch Australia play. So for them, the commercial realities now from 66 to 70 to today are so much different. Yeah. But just talk through as well, you just mentioned you're at an airport, so your wife's expecting you home, your kids are expecting you home, you're not getting enough money that you don't need to work, you've got a job to go back to, and suddenly you're being told, actually, don't leave the airport because we're arranging another flight. So who in the squad then couldn't afford to do that?
Quite a few lost their jobs.
Yeah, see, this is an important aspect of all sport that people should understand, that when they see stars today in any sport making the money, and as you mentioned at the top of the podcast, you don't begrudge it, but they need to understand the history of their sport and the talent that provide the platform for the earnings of today's generation. Okay. So talk through what that was like for yourself personally, and the guys that, you know, the guys that lost jobs, the guys that said they've got to leave the squad because they couldn't afford to lose a job or a wife.
Oh, the house. They were buying houses off and all that. I was lucky. I was employed by Randwick Council. Now, a man who, I don't say run Randwick Council, but there was a fellow who ran soccer, a fellow called Jim Baiuti. I don't know if you ever heard the name. Or Jim ran football. He was Italian, run the old Apia club and whatever. Terrific bloke. He got me a job on the council and made sure everyone was, you know, looked after. I was looked after. I knew my wages were there every week, even at the time I was away. That's a big thing. And that was a massive big thing.
Because there's a few things that does. Not only does it allow you to continue to represent your country, But it eases the pressure on your family, which I'm sure is difficult enough when you've got to tell your wife, by the way, I know I've been gone 3.5 weeks, but I might be gone another 2.5.
Yeah. Well, it's like some of the lads were apprentices. So you're an apprentice plumber, apprentice electrician. You come and say to the boss, look, I've got to have a few more weeks off. He said, well, you can have permanent off, see ya.
Yep.
And it is very difficult indeed. And, I mean, people say to me, do you ever had feelings get it? I said, well, why are the lads got what they're getting now? I said, only because some people have got to do what we did. We've got to sacrifice a lot, which a lot, not only me, there's a lot more of me, sacrificed a lot, and that's why now they're living well out of it. You know, they're getting really good pay. All right, they're getting full time.
That must have been an absolute, like the sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? The chaos. The chaos that must take place when you've got a squad. What was the squad? 16, 17 players?
No, they're about 20.
So you've got 20 players. There's no mobile phones.
No.
So suddenly everyone's looking for a payphone.
Yeah.
They're making phone calls to wife,
yeah,
if they have one, and I'm sure many
yeah,
did,
yeah.
or girlfriend,
yeah,
and saying, oh, by the way, I'm not coming, which also might be difficult because they might have been outside waiting for you, not home with the phone.
Well, you can the lads who's on interstate players.
Yep. So you've got to make that call. You've got to call your boss, which again, assuming that it's not in work hours and or you've got your boss's
trying to get permission.
Yep. Phone that must have been absolute chaos to know, is there enough of a squad? And if so, because again, saying, all right, we've got 20 guys and we go, okay, 16 can go. But if you had 3 strikers in the squad and 3 of the 4 were strikers,
yeah,
what do you do? So what actually goes on in that situation? Talk us through that.
It's a difficult. First of all, you've got to worry about the coach.
Yeah.
Because, he's got all these, besides that, he only got one problem. He's got 22 in the squad. He's got 22 problems, hasn't he?
Exactly.
It's not just one. So he's besides him, and in them days, we had one team manager, we had a travel manager, say from Qantas, whoever, we had a physio, and that was it.
So when you get told this, what's the first thing that you did?
Me? Well, I knew I'd be okay with Randwick Council.
Yeah. So your first phone calls to Big Boss Ackerley.
Well, I just Jim Paiuti, who was running the game. Jim, he says, leave it, Stan, I'll sort it all out,
So you didn't even have to make the phone call to tell the boss.
He just sort of, but it made it worse, though, because after that, I came back for 2 days, and my missus had gone back to the UK, so I went off back to the UK for, 4 or 5 months.
Wow.
And come back and still out a job.
So, Stan, after the full-time whistle blows in 69 against Israel, that's 1-1. How soon after that did you think, okay, that'll do me for Socceroos?
That right afterwards.
Right afterwards?
I said to my missus, I think, and I've got something there. If you look at it, that's my last game. Wow. But you can't pick me out. You'll pick me out.
You can turn it around and see if we hopefully the camera at some point we can zoom and pick up and see.
I recognise Manfred Schaefer. Oh,
Schaefer.
Johnny Warren.
Yeah, Johnny.
Yeah, Youngie was there. I tell you right now.
Do you feel like you're masturbating in a time machine, Tony?
I'm struggling here. I'm going to have a ping, Stan. I'm going to have a ping.
I actually
on the end.
Yeah, with the long sideboards.
That's magnificent. So that was in Sydney in 1969 against Israel.
And look at the crowd.
I know.
Joggers.
And where was that played? The old sports ground?
The old sports ground.
Far out.
Actually, Tony, there's something sitting on the desk there as well in regards to playing Israel. No, the one Israel.
Oh yeah.
Here's a jersey.
Oh, wow. So you swapped this with your opponent.
The man who scored the goal, come and give it me, Spiegler. He said, yeah, Stan, you can have this.
That's amazing.
You are holding a memorabilia from that loss, Tony. It's the jersey of the goal scorer.
He said, we're off to the World Cup. He said, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
56 years. Far out.
Yeah.
Let's see, there's something. How much sledging did you cop and how much did you give? Because there's a Jets of sledging.
I give a lot.
He's given him the shirt, which is,
I give a lot
later. But he said, we're off to the World Cup. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I was bad at sledging.
You gave a bit?
Oh, hell of a lot.
Who was the player that stands out in your mind that gave it to you the most you thought was really good at sledging? It was just funny, or or they could just get under your skin and you wanted to play the man, not the ball?
Well, I wouldn't say I always played the man, but I wasn't scared of anyone. I was never, it's just one of the things it was.
So
I didn't mind getting stuck in.
Never got under your skin? You didn't mind it?
No, a few of them did, One person did got under my skin. It was my cousin, Ernie. My cousin came out. He did the same thing as me. Right? Played Manchester United, did about 12, 18 months after me. And we were playing in Melbourne. And I just had major ankle injury. And playing that thing, I always had to turn to the left. And the doctors told me, don't turn to your left for a while, turn to your right. And I did. I only had been giving me a hard time. Anyway, I didn't do it on purpose. I can swear it on the Bible, I didn't do it. And he came back, I went, turn as a curve, turn. I brought my arm round, I knocked him clean out.
Big coat hanger.
Yeah, he's about 6'4", big lad, good footballer. And I don't know why he ever came out here because he could have big time in England. And I knocked him straight off. The referee come out. He said, you got to go, Sam. I said, what for? I said, the pure accent. I give him the tail. He says, I've read about your big operations you've had. He said, I'll get in trouble about this. He said, I'll give you a good warning. And them days, there was no cards.
Yeah.
No cards. Bit of a booking, And all that.
And can I ask that 1969 squad, the Socceroos, just tell us about some of the players there, their backgrounds. Because, obviously soccer came from in Australia, the English, but a lot of multicultural people from different parts of the world.
Yeah, say you mentioned there, Manny Schaefer, right? Okay, John Warren's family came from just outside Manchester.
Yeah.
John Watkins, he's from Wolverhampton. Picture. And some of the players, he was a goalkeeper. Ronnie Corey, Australian.
Oh, Ron Corey, of course.
Eddie Bonny, Hungarian. Billy Wojtik, George Keith, Scottish. Ray Bartz, he was a good footballer.
Ray Bartz, yeah.
Ronnie Corey, Manny Schaefer, Danny Walsh, Billy Old Pommy at the end.
So how good did an Australian player have to actually be at football, considering the amount of expat talent that was running around to make the squad?
Well, there was that many good kids coming through, and that was people wanted to know why Appiah stayed on top for so long, because eventually Johnny Russell, Terry Buckler, Dave Maguire, goalkeeper, John Roberts, a goalkeeper, they were goalkeeper, and Cessnock, Billy Rourke, and all these lads. And this way, Appiah used to go and get a lot of these kids, look around, say, you're in Newcastle. Hey, got on the phone. Okay, get them down next year. You're from somewhere, get them down.
The good scouts.
And this is it. And this is where Appiah stayed on top for so long, where other clubs had to go out and buy players, get players and all that. So it's good. So they used to filter in. I mean, the old Appiah days, well, my first goalkeeper we had here was Alberto Iglesias, played for Real Madrid.
Far out.
A couple of European Cup medals. We had a lad who played in front of me on the wing, Johnny Wong. A lot of people, there's this Johnny Wong. Then we had all these. Then we had a few Australian boys in it. Big Jimmy Sandbuck, all these boys, And so he always had a big mixture. What Appiah did, the coaches always did. And the thing that was, when Joe Marsden started doing all the coaching, and he could see the potential in a lot of us. Because a lot of the senior players there, like myself and Pat Hughes and Van Blurk and all them boys, they say, hey, don't forget the 14s are training early on tonight. Can you get down and help them? So. So we used to get down. And
so just going back to that match against Israel, when Australia lose, the World Cup dreams ended, that's it for you and your time in the Socceroos.
Okay.
Had that game have been a victory for Australia and you go on to play in the 70 World Cup, do you think it still would have been the same? You think you would have played that World Cup and that was enough for you?
Oh, yeah. Look, it's not so much that. It takes a toll on you because you're training all year round. Because in between seasons, you're training. And you're trying to hold the job up. and you know, all right, you got a family and all this. And I was dead lucky. Randwick Council was so good to me. Right? We were lucky. Randwick Council, we had a lot of South Sydney players. We had a lot of Union players and all this. So Randwick Council was...
all the people paying rates back in the 60s and 70s, they didn't get value for money, but they had a lot of talent.
It was a sports council.
Yeah, it was.
It was good.
Yeah.
And this is it. It's a difficult thing when you think should or shouldn't, you know. And it does eventually takes a fair bit of time. Especially, I saw something the other night. Two things I watched TV the other night. I don't mind watching the old rugby league game, and I looked at some of the pictures pre-season.
Yeah,
the players sit in the dust. The dust was coming up. This can be. The soccer was the same. You look at the pictures tonight. They're like billiard tables.
Yep.
Flat as can be, beautiful. The ball was nice. You went on some of the parks. Yeah, the worst ground I've ever been on in my whole life. Have you ever been on North Sydney Oval?
No, but
I've only watched games. I've never been.
Dave would know because he follows the rugby league. It used to be called
for the Bears.
It used to be rock hard, right?
No,
it wasn't.
That
wasn't hard.
Okay,
is anything harder on lock?
Yeah,
it was like that.
Yeah.
It was shocking. And it's the biggest cricket square
I was going to
I've
say,
ever seen in my life.
It used to be.
It was the biggest one I've ever seen in my life. So you played on there. And it was.
And Stan, who would play at North Sydney Oval back in the day? Who would?
North Sydney.
Oh, they had a team, did they?
Tim Colson, North Sydney.
Oh, wow.
A breakaway from the happier business. It's like Marconi was a breakaway.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. And this is it. So it was good. But, I mean, some of the grounds, Lambert Park.
It's still there. I was there on Sunday.
Lambert Park. The slope was like that.
So how many of these grounds do you play on? Like, is there at the forefront of your mind, if you're on the grounds like a cow paddock, does it take away from what you're doing because you're having to watch where you're placing your feet?
You've got to. And all that, they weren't maintained like they are now. They're like billiard tables, even the turf pitches. I mean, I'm overwrapped on the synthetic business, but on the turf pitches, now they're terrific.
Well, it must give incredible confidence for a player that to a number of things. One, you're not worried about doing your ankles. You're just running to where you want to be, to the space you're chasing. The other is when you're passing or receiving a pass, the confidence of the bounce that you know that what you can play because you know the ball's going to be true.
And you know it's going to be there, And honestly, the grounds have changed. And this is where the players, trust it. You see, even them days, you see I always say it was a bit of a league game the other night. Switching channels at home, and it's just in the mess of them, the players. And it wasn't so much wet; they were in the dust that much. They were covered in it.
It hurt
like
hell.
And I thought, poor buggers.
Speaking of hurt and changes, you've got a ball. You've got one of the old leather balls.
Yes.
Again, that's Now I do remember growing up, we had leather. Rugby league balls as well. We did actually have. I was a kid when going back 40-odd years.
I've got one of them.
When they get wet, so I know the difference was when they would get wet, they get slippery, and obviously they'd hurt to kick. But you wouldn't necessarily have to kick the ball. That you've got no choice. So that wet, I reckon, would weigh, give or take, 5 or 6 kilos wet, which means you're more. You reckon more?
Yeah.
And so you're trying to kick that and taking it to the head.
That's right. That's the thing, right? Like I've got a 13 and 11-year-old sons, and I always encourage them, especially at their level, don't be afraid to hit the ball. And watch it onto your forehead and just drive through it, right?
That's a nice synthetic ball.
Nice synthetic ball that's got a bit of give in it. Doesn't really hurt their forehead. I'd love to soak this in water for a few hours.
And then give it to them.
Hey, Paddy, have a crack, mate.
The one advantage is you wouldn't notice any damaged brain cells.
The biggest problem there nowadays,
the laces.
No, just from beyond over there.
Oh, yeah.
So that ball's coming at you doing 60 and 80 mile an hour and hits you, splits you wide open.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and all
that would do a lot of damage.
And best way,
hold that up for the cameras. We'll get a zoom. Our post-production team will get a zoom. That you imagine taking that to the head.
And it can only do 60, 70 mile an hour.
Actually, I was talking to you before a couple of days ago, and I was mentioning that the CTE injuries that are coming about in contact sports, that they're trying to mitigate the damage the more they know about it. I read something 2 or 3 years ago as this was really coming to the fore that they were starting to worry that soccer might be sort of one of those hidden sports that ends up with CTE, and it was about blokes consistently heading a ball from 80, 90, 100 kilometres an hour.
Yeah. I've had
to
that
the
many
head.
tests.
You're all good, Stan?
I've had that many tests.
You've come on the podcast, so clearly there's some brain injury.
I'm about 80 to 83% good. Right?
82, 83. Now,
Percent.
obviously,
That
that
is
at
good.
your age, that's good, but that's also concerning that it says that there's something there. So if they said that just repetitive heading
I've
the ball,
and I teach the kids to head a ball now, right? And the thing how I teach them, right? Get the kids to sit down on the backside, and they go back, throw the ball nice and soft, come back, head. See what I'm doing? Arms out, head. Eventually, get on your knees. Come back, head. All it is.
make sure you get the right speed.
Not on there.
Yeah.
If you're on there, you're in trouble.
Yep.
Then starts got a little hurdle, jump over hurdles, slow up, and head it. That's what you got to do. Nothing else. And you see the kids. And I go and see, well, I've seen some of the National League games, and half the players don't know how to head a ball. Hitting them on top of the head, and it's dangerous.
Actually, it's interesting you should say that because one thing that I love my cricket. And one other thing, well, cricket and rugby league. And from my point of view, and a number of people are far better than me, professionals, they reckon a lot of guys today are getting knocked out because their tackling technique is poor because they haven't been taught to tackle properly. And a lot of cricketers, even though they've got helmets, get hit in the head more than before because, again, they weren't taught how to move out of the way of the ball or get inside it and play a hook or a pull shot or whatever it might be. So one of the things I do worry about is as we become aware of risk of injury, the way in which we mitigate that risk is actually not necessarily mitigating the risk. We can be making things worse. So for you, why do you find that kids or watching at a national level or at a first grade level, why do you think they can't head a ball properly?
They still never been taught properly.
Reckon it's just something that's assumed in a game that in the air you just
It's got to be taught.
There you go.
Even if it is a real softball, you know the old plastic ball.
Yeah.
Just got nothing else. You don't have to be back there. Just here, hold the ball, come in, head the ball. Move away 2 steps or over a little hurdle. So they're doing 2 things, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
Or as they jump over the hurdle, the ball's up in the air, they're up, heading the ball.
So you were still
Ball.
these balls when you finished in 69.
Yeah.
They were still leather because synthetic doesn't start coming until the late 80s.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. They were, who was this? When I was back in England a couple of years ago, someone gave me one of them. Yeah, I thought, oh well, I'll keep it. And people have always been trying to claim it off me. And
Yeah, no, you keep that one.
but I've got a couple of leather league balls.
Yeah, they're very old too.
Yeah, well, I use them for goal kicking
Right.
because sometimes I go around some of the leagues clubs, and just lately, so unfortunately, a couple of the young ladies who's playing league, and one young lady, I think it was a niece, who comes with me, and they said, "Oh, would you take my?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And she bought a couple of level ones, but I said, "No." I said, "We won't do the kicking." I said, "We'll do the kicking with a soccer ball." Because it's harder to kick a soccer ball than it is a league ball.
So it gets their technique right.
You've got your technique and you've got it right. So
Well, I think that was the big change in rugby league with goal kicking when goal kicking went from sort of a hit and miss into a real fine art was when they started to get footballers, teaching them how to kick the ball and kick upright.
Well, there's one player in particular, I put tickets on myself, who owns the goal kicking record in the state of origin.
In the state of origin, the goal kicking record.
Yeah.
Ryan
Gurgler.
I was going to say that'd be. I was going to say Michael O'Connor.
No, Ryan Gurgler.
So he used to work with Girds,
Yeah, over at the Panthers.
getting his technique right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's steady.
So what is it that you do? How do you start teaching a kid to kick a football correctly, soccer ball correctly?
Simple.
I like the way you say simple. Says the Australian Socceroo captain and left back.
No, it's not.
Simple.
It's not.
Simple. Can be as a football.
It's not the foot you kick it with.
Do tell. Keep going.
If I put my foot over there, my left foot, and kicking with my right, I'm off balance, aren't I?
Yep.
If I put my foot over there, it's a waste of time. If I put my foot up here, it's a waste of time. See where the players put the foot close enough to the ball?
Yep.
And you notice what do? They just do it with the foot, with the studs, and they walk back. You walk back, right? I walk back about 4.5 paces. I'll put money on the kids, say you're 2 kids. Tell me how many paces I'll go to kick that ball. I said, come on. And I said, dead on 3 paces. Just knock it over. Well, I shouldn't be doing it. I do it because I'm a left pegger. I do it with my left, and I shouldn't because I've got have a new knee and have both
Hips.
both hips done.
Yeah.
But you're still out there kicking.
So my missus not listening.
No, he doesn't do any of this. He just instructs.
And it'll still go down. I see him on the local park, and they see the kids, young junior kids, and if I'm waiting for a couple of customers to come up, I'll go take my soccer balls over. I said, why are you going out there? There's the goals. I said, but forget about out there. Let's get there. You've got to get 100% there. Out there, your percentage is going out until you get better and stronger. So you've got to start working there with that. And they said, well, so what's this? I said, why did they all go back? I said, it's all TV work. I said, they do it. I said, what's it? I said, watch my left foot where I do it. I said, I'll walk back 4 good, not quite 4 good sides, come back, I'll turn around and don't worry about me kicking the ball, see where my left foot goes. Perfect.
Now, talking of coaching kids, this is going to be very much into an area of the podcast I know Tone's desperate to discuss. Where is Australian soccer at, in your view? Where's Australian soccer at in terms of its pathways and its juniors to actually stay at a sustainable level for it to really genuinely be playing the World Cup every 4 years because they've earned it, not necessarily just because we've got a place in the way the group stage has been set up. So are our pathways in a good condition? If not, why not? And what are all these academies that are popping up like mushrooms everywhere with sort of the promise that if you send your kids through my academy, they'll end up in Man U, in Inter Milan, in the best leagues in the world?
Yeah, it is a very difficult question to answer. 2 things. To me, kids are getting a lot of times overcoached. So I listen to some of the coaches when I'm around the parks, and I go out looking for players. And
now before we go too deep here, sorry to interrupt, but I don't want. I want to pick this up because I want you to clarify overcoached. Again, because the sports I watch, and I'm talking guys who've played test level, they say this all the time. They say young kids today are being overcoached, and what they mean is coaches don't see a kid with raw talent anymore and try and polish and refine it and leave that technique of what's working and teach them, when to hold back, when to attack, when to play this, when to play that. They tend to be trying to overcoach and fix the technique so everything's the same. So when you say overcoaching, is that what you mean? Do you mean they're trying to make every kid their technique the same way?
Yeah, okay. Put it this way. Here's a book from coaching. You do it this way. Next page, you do it this way. Then it comes to a blank page. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to alter it. So the basic thing you got to do with kids, to me, right? First of all, one of the biggest things we're lacking in this country with young kids, 90% don't know how to run properly. They have no idea how to run properly. I send a lot of kids off to little athletics, if they know a good little athletic coach, so they do get them away from the game for the summer. But when it comes to kicking, they just don't do enough kicking. I go on the local park and I watch a lot of stuff, and I do this. The changing rooms. Comes out and they've got a brick wall. A few weeks ago, I said to these kids, I was walking by, I said, "Yeah, we'll do a deal. 4 kids. That's what you're doing." So we're kicking the ball against the big wall. I said, "No. See the big wall? What holds the awning up?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Take 10 balls each. Every time you hit that ball, I'll give you $20.
How much money were you out of pocket?
I said, every time you miss, you give me 5 cents.
Can I come down and kick the ball?
I would guess what? I walked away with. I said, hey, don't forget you loaned me all 5 cents. Not one hit the wall.
Yeah, and then when you say young kids, what age are we talking about?
This kid's up to 14 who play football.
And what distance are we talking about?
I said from 10 metres onwards. Kids can't kick a ball.
Yeah, see,
because they've all got this, because that target's there, they all want to try and curl the ball.
Yeah.
They want to do this.
Yeah. No one can actually hit a target.
Yeah.
But everyone's got a nice arc on there.
Well, I'm lucky on where the park I use. I've got, shot put nets. And I'll get the net up, I put it there, so I want the ball underneath the net. And if it goes over the top, we're about 15 metres away somewhere now, I want you to chip it over the other shot put net.
Yep.
Over.
So getting back to the
left and right.
Well, getting back to the top of the podcast, you said at 14 and a half years, you went into the apprentice program at Man U. Yeah. A couple of years later, you turned professional.
Yeah, 17.
And our kids at 14 can't kick the ball.
Yeah, because they've seen all these fancy stuff.
And they're doing what they want to do is look fancy, but they can't perform the basics.
Yeah, and the biggest problem we've got in a game, right, I tell you now, I've sent kids over in the UK. A few years of you two got off the plane in London, right, years and years ago. It's how you feeling. Now, you've been on the plane for about 50 hours. Not like now, 20 hours. How are you feeling? Oh, not too bad. All right, you're playing this afternoon. Why? You lads were super fit.
Yeah.
Australian lads were super fit them days. Yeah. I've got nothing but lads who going overseas now. But you had your Craig Johnsons. You had all these lads, the different players, the Dukers and all that. Not only good footballers, super fit footballers. Very, very fit. You ask the kids now to do some running. We're not allowed to run. Why? Oh, the coach said no.
So you can see
the talent's there. There's nothing wrong with the talent.
So if we keep on this path, Australian soccer's in a decline.
It isn't. And it is all it is. I'll tell you off broadcast what's happening. I can't tell you what's happening. There's too many people do a job, and they've got another job where they get because they've got a coaching ticket, they're highly paid.
Right.
I won't tell you the job is. I'll tell you who it's afterwards. And this is what's happening, because I know I talk to a lot of, and honestly, there's too much of this, and they go on there. You get on a synthetic. If I work on a synthetic, which I don't like doing, the kids work on 3 touches, no more. No more. I'll kick a ball hard as I can at them. 3 touches, get it off. You go on the grass these days because the councils are not looking after them right. 4 touches. That's all the kids need. If you see the kids from overseas, when I go overseas, they're there. I watch the seniors. I'll go and see many of the juniors I can, and nothing else. So and it's synthetic. It's 3 touches. If it's grass, 4 touches.
So how many kids do you see that would be 13, 14, so the same age that Man U are looking at talent such as yourself to go into their development program? How many kids in Australia are you seeing at that age, give or take, that if they are coached right, do have a potential career in Europe or the UK, but they're not going to get there because they're too busy with the fancy and not getting the fundamentals?
Yeah. So we've got 2 problems on that one. The problems is now, we'll use going back to Britain. 90% of Premier League clubs, who they owned by?
Foreigners.
Thank you. Answer.
That's it's completely changed, right?
You were 2 very good British lads, right? I'm the foreigner, bought the club. I think all my staff in, okay? My scouts and everything. We're being the kids from all these different countries. You 2 are good players. Where do you go?
Division 1 or Division 2.
Or Europe.
On the bench.
Or out the club.
That's right.
Now, why is there so many British players playing on the continent?
Because there's
because they can't get.
That's right. They can't get into the EPL. So remember, I was explaining this.
Isn't it?
I don't know, I got into a conversation with my 11-year-old, as I often do, and I was explaining
What's
to
about your
No, it was about the old, I'm a Italian, my parents are Italian migrants. We used to follow the Serie A.
Yeah.
I said, Paddy, back in the day, mate, Italian clubs were only allowed to have 3 foreigners. And there was a time there where AC Milan went and got 3 Dutchmen, and Van Basten and Rijkaard, and Ruud Gullit. Inter Milan got 3 Germans, and that was it. And in England, there were very few foreigners playing.
The Italians got a lot more Germans in the 40s.
That's right. Absolutely, yeah. And then, so in the English game, I remember I remember watching English Division 1, because back in the day, Stan, like you'd remember, for a young child to watch the English Division 1, it was 10:30 at night on a Monday.
I know.
And there was one game that was on for half an hour, and then if you're lucky, they'd show the goals of the other games. Now my sons, every morning, if there's a game, or every Sunday morning they wake up, they look at all the highlights. Dad, can we watch the Liverpool game? Dad, how did Chelsea go?
Yeah.
But it was all English players largely. And I reckon it was the mid-90s. Remember, after the 94 World Cup, Klinsmann went to the Premier League.
Yeah.
A couple other foreigners went, David Ginola, a couple others.
And
then all of a sudden the club started being bought up, and now it's just transformed where you look and you go, where are all the English players gone?
No.
And there's still some good English players, no doubt.
Yeah, there is a lot of good English kids as well. And what happened, if they don't go the lower division, but there again, before all this business came in England, when you come to sign pro, when I sign pro, it's 17 or young. If not, you can go and find another club. What they do now, you go through an apprentice scheme. All right. Okay, your occupation, hairdresser. What's your job?
Accountant.
All right. You want to be
He's the money maker.
You want to be accountant. So what they did then, now, okay, you don't, if you don't want to sign at 17, you can sign at 19. But through the PFA, they pay all your schooling.
Tuition, yep.
Everything. Same with you, hairdressing, pay all that. So when you retire, right, not like when I played, when I retired. If I retired at 30, what was I going to do? Nothing.
Which actually makes it, getting back to the point of blokes being told at airports, don't go home, there's been a change, really makes it difficult to turn around and lose jobs when there's no, post-football, there's no career lined up.
And they said there's no, but now they've got a career. So now, because of a lot of the English players are getting out again, before you say you're doing university, accountancy, you're doing hairdressing at university, whatever and so you decide to pack it on. The PFA had to pay you till you finish your part, and then you go play part-time football.
That's right.
Good money, very good money, and you're getting paid to do your job.
Yeah.
And same with your hairdressing, where before, it was, don't you?
Yeah, it would have
suicide.
Yeah,
biggest rate suicide.
This is actually a real big problem. It's still a bit of a problem today, and not necessarily because there's no work, but it's that I heard someone. I wish I could remember who said it, but they said a sportsman dies twice. And when I heard that, I thought that's pretty deep.
Oh, yeah.
And you think because getting back to even yourself, right? You're 14. So you haven't flipped a burger at McDonald's. You haven't had a casual job at a Kmart. Your entire life is football. So when you get to that point, 1969, you decide that's your last game for Australia. You're coming to the end. You're coming to a point in your life where you literally know nothing outside of football.
Yeah,
that is massive as an adult to go. Hang on, what do I do here?
I'm a perfect example.
So what did you do?
Well,
were you still employed by the council?
Yeah, Jim Bayuti, he recently ran with council. So straight away, they said, we're going to get you a backhoe.
What?
You're talking to me? And 2 days later, a big yellow machine come in and said, "Hey, Stan, that's yours." Oh, it's a nice colour. I had no idea.
Didn't know how to drive it.
Yeah, no idea. But touch wood, I ended up, so they say, a top operator. I did all this, and I went bulldozers, graders, doing a lot. So,
That must
well,
again. That's a big thing,
It
right?
was a
Because
big
you're not like from say 16 to 22, where those
That
6
was
years you're learning your craft.
Yeah,
For you, you're learning your football craft.
and this is it's a different ball. But now they do the apprenticeship, and what I do believe in Britain, though, when you sign a contract, you're the player. I'm your agent, right? Okay. Well, there's your wife. No, we'll do it this other way. You're the player. You're the wife.
Yeah, you're the
Right?
bench team.
And I'm the manager. And they turn around and say, right, doing the contract, won't talk to you. The club won't talk to you. You're the player. Forget about it. You've got no sense.
That's true.
They talk to the wife, said, right, it's on £250,000 a week. How much do you ought to live? You get a house, everything else, new cars every 3 or 4 months. You get all your grocery bills and all paid off. So how much a week do you want to live? So what? 250, so what? Well, £5,000, $10,000 a week, do you?
Should be playing.
And
Should
they
be,
say-
technically.
And they turn around and they say, okay, so all that money is invested. So when you come to retire,
They're full over.
That's right.
you've got such a pension.
It's set for life.
There's only one top player at the moment doing TV work in Britain. That's Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, yeah.
He does a little bit. The others are doing commentary. I know one in particular. I won't mention his name. Right? He gets, I think it's about 200,000 a year. Right? 4 days a week. You know, you've got a game to, a couple of games to do. You know even what's going on. You go home, put your head on the pillow. You know, chasing players. Well, what's the biggest thing with managers in England? Heart attack jobs.
Yeah,
They're
well,
working.
I don't know why you'd want to be a football manager.
They're working.
You could be hired and fired within a month.
Yeah,
Well, no,
it's the most.
you were. Look at Postecoglou.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're hard. It's hard. I mean, I've been hired and fired here with that many clubs. It don't worry me. You know?
Well, the hire, I can understand the hiring and fire. Like, obviously, I don't like the term people say, "Oh, we're in a performance business,"
Yeah.
because everyone is, right? It doesn't matter if you make bad pizzas. However, I understand that your performances, you're basically at best you're looking at what's your last 2 years, to be generous, right? You might say you've had 2 bad years. What I don't understand, again, this is a conversation you and I have had, Stan, is if you are hired and fired 6 weeks later, you haven't done anything with that roster. You've inherited someone else's roster. Where the thing I'd like to think happens in the rugby league here is, generally speaking, not always, but generally most coaches will come in and you'll normally get 3 years, because by that 3rd year, you should have close to have turned over the roster or near enough to it that it's got your fingerprints all over it. And therefore, what are you getting out of the team that you've built? But in football, still calling it football for you, Tone, doing it just for you, baby. I don't see how you can look at a manager's performance knowing that he might have brought in one signing.
But I think Dave got to realise that we spoke earlier around all these all these
That's
clubs.
the emotion.
No,
That's the
not
emotion.
at all. All these clubs now are owned by who?
Well, a lot of Arabs are.
But
Billionaires.
No, but lots of billionaires, right?
Billionaires.
And do you reckon billionaires have got tolerance for, we're going to give this person a time to perform, we're going to let them build? They want results. It's almost instantaneous. And some of them are irrational, right?
But they have to be irrational, because surely in their own businesses,
That's what I mean.
they wouldn't even invest. To be a billionaire, you wouldn't even invest with an outcome of a month.
I know, but the thing is, Dave, if you invest in a business, right, even someone who's completely irrational and lacks patience would still give it 6 to 9 to 12 months to be able to see the performance change.
Correct.
The thing with sport is that you get a weekly smack in the head on how you're going. Every week, you lost 2-0, you shit. We won 2-0, we bet the team coming third, we're back, right? This constant reinforcement on progress, on how you're going, and the guy up top's thinking, no, I just want results and I want to win.
Because to me, it just seems to be like it wouldn't matter what sport. I just don't see how you can, well, to me, in sport, you shouldn't be looking week to week.
I agree. You should be saying to yourself, I've invested in a manager. I think he's going to make the right decisions in terms of recruitment and playing style, and I'm going to give him a couple of years to show some progress, and then years 3 to 4 to see if we can really push up the table and maybe challenge for a title. 3, 4, and 5 maybe.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't happen.
Yeah. See, a lot of these new people come in with, they've got that much money. They think it's like instant coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. It's a long term, and it's very hard. Look at the bloke is at Notts Forest.
That's right.
This year.
That's right.
I mean, he averages, since he's been there, 4 managers a year.
That's insane.
But he pays them out.
That's right.
He's got that much money.
But so you'd think when you got that much money, you wouldn't want to be frivolous with it either.
Well, he's got to do something.
Because what
that was paying, if not, he's paying you.
Because what are there? There's 38 games in a Premier League.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Home and away, 19.
Oh, plus cup games.
Yeah, and then you add in cup. So what are we talking about? 50 on average, 50 games, depending on how far you go.
For the top teams, it'll probably be closer to 55, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you're talking about not even 15 games per manager.
Yeah,
that's right.
That's insane.
These blokes just want instant coffee.
Now listen, Stan.
Speaking of fit, before I forget, have a look at that jersey. This is one of Stan's Socceroo jerseys. Have a look at the size of it. The last time I got in a shirt that size, I was 10 years of age. How fit would he have been?
Is that the 69 or
I don't
65?
know which one. I go with
Does it have a year on it?
Umbrella.
I bet you it wasn't made in China in those days either.
Worn by the World Cup winners, 1966. It must have been that second one.
Yeah, there's a tracksuit top. Yeah.
And look at the size of that too.
I only got this back.
He must have been.
No, sorry, middle of last year or the year before, because it was in the Institute of Sport for about 15 years.
There you go.
Just look how small that is.
He must have been a whippet.
Just put your arm in it. Put your arm in it. Look at
that time. That's as close as you're going to get to representing Australia, Tone.
Put that up. That.
Wow. Imagine how fit he was.
That's the first one. I always used to keep my first stuff and give the other stuff away.
It's amazing.
Kids would say, and the worst thing with shorts, the kids used to say to me, hey, Mr. Ackley, can I have your shorts? I've got a favourite pair of
you like your undies
on. Look at and hold on, I'm going to change it. Come up, and
yeah,
a new pair, you know. And it's just one of them things.
Yeah. There's one of the newer ones. Look at the difference in the breather.
Yes, I think
you imagine how tight you would have got around those other ones.
This one's similar to the one I'm wearing. This was like the retro one. That's
because that's the Airtex one.
That's a lovely jersey.
Nice shirt, isn't it?
Beautiful.
I've got a load of goalkeepers ones as well. Australian ones.
How'd you end up with the goalkeepers ones?
Oh, you know, my son-in-law played for Australia.
There you go.
Mike Gibson.
Yeah.
Kidding.
Yeah.
So Mike Gibson, he played for.
There you go. The things I'm learning live, Stan.
He played for Sydney Olympic for a while, yeah?
Oh, that was, 7 national leagues.
I know, it's Olympic, Marconi. I'm sure he might have played for Sydney City at one stage.
Yeah. Then Newcastle.
The Newcastle.
He was all over the place.
He's a great keeper.
Yeah. And
that's your son-in-law?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I had him at Manchester City, and they wanted to keep him.
Yeah.
But he had such a good job at munitions.
Yeah.
He was a top engineer.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Hey, can I ask, looking at your profile, I found a reference to something here which concerned me. And I'm going to tell you why, Stan.
Right.
So for about 10 or 15 years, I played for a club that was called the Pendle Hill Football Club. The Mighty Tigers. And he tells me on this little...
He was playing Division...
No, you don't...
Division 7.
I was playing the equivalent of Sunday League Division 46 probably.
Tony was the kid at the back with the stick just digging holes.
It tells me here that you were wrapped up in the Toongabbie Soccer Club.
He started Toongabbie. Not started. That was my first coaching job.
Yep.
We went from Goween Park.
Yeah.
We bought the land at Blacktown.
Oh, at Lily's. What's called Lily's now.
Lily's now. We bought the land there.
Wow.
For $5,000. Yep. All that land.
Yeah.
And I went right through, got them right up to the top, walked in one night and they said, you're finished.
Far out.
That's the job.
Speaking of managers being fired, what was the shortest tenure you had as a manager? Did you ever sort of get hired and fired in the same month?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And look, then I learned a lesson, right? Big lesson. I would say to you, what's your occupation? What's your occupation? I'm not being rude. What's your occupation? Lady, or I'm the club secretary, but what's your occupation? And someone said, "Oh, I'm a politician." I said, "Thank you very much for asking me to come for an interview, but I don't work where us politicians are." This is why I said, "You promised too much for the club." I said, "And I've been let down once."
Overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah, but only once. And said, and that was it.
So it doesn't even have to be at the highest level. Soccer has an issue. Football has an issue with hiring and firing managers and no time for him to.
Yeah, I've been fired that many times.
So what's the metric you use then? Knowing this, so you've finished playing, you've gone into management, you've felt the sting of the higher fire a couple of times. It's now water off a duck's back. When you start taking on roles, then how do you strategize to say, here's what I'm going to try and do to show them within the first 4 weeks done worth keeping?
I've already watched them a few times because I know you get to know you're getting the sack, right?
Well, in rugby league, it's normally when you've got the full backing of the board.
Oh, well,
when you get that statement,
it's the same in England.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's the same.
He has a full backing of the board. You may as well start packing your desk.
But I've already been told he's going in a couple of weeks, so I go down, watch him. You don't know I'm there. Watch him. Well, he won't be in next week if I'm here. He won't be in next week.
So how long?
I watch him.
How do you sign a manager then? What's the contract length?
Usually 12 months with option.
So they'll turn around and literally know that they might be just paying out 12 months for 2 or 3 months regularly.
Yeah, that's it.
That's insane.
You've got to have it in your contract. You get paid out. If you don't, a lot of them don't have it in the contract.
That's madness.
But it's crazy.
Can I fire Tony? He's already been here for it's been a year.
I wish.
Can I?
It's only temporary employment, isn't it? Coaching, it's only temporary employment.
By its nature.
It is.
Can we, so Dave touched on it earlier, Stan, this proliferation of academies everywhere, right? So I've got young kids and there's academies here, there's academies linked to the NPL teams, there's academies that are independent and play like an academy league on a Sunday. There are academies everywhere, and which is all well and good.
Your boys are at the Our Lady of the Worthless Miracle Academy, right?
But their parents are dropping money to play for these academies, right? And it's not just a bit of loose change.
I know.
And
I can't believe it.
And so what's your take? You grew up in a pathway that basically said if you're good enough, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Whereas here you might be good enough, but you've got a credit card, we'll take you anyway.
Yeah.
How do you look at all that?
To me, it's out and out scandalous.
Yeah.
Right, for a start. But the thing about it is, where do these kids end up? This is the thing about it. You know? And the parents, to me, are looking into the kids. That should be me. That should be me. And they're pushing the kids. And some of them are not hopeless. Some are very good kids. They could be very good sportsmen. But they've got to realise it's not just him. There's a big pile of them trying to do the same. And it's very hard to get on that.
So, Stan, I just want to touch on this, increase or, proliferation of academies across Australia. I've got 2 young kids who enjoy their football. They love it. But the NPL clubs have got their academies. There's other academies that have got like academy leagues on Sundays. And it's all well and good if it's bringing more people into the game and providing better pathways, but there's a price tag on this. So
especially your boys are at Our Lady of the Worthless Miracle.
So there's a price tag on this where it doesn't necessarily mean if you're good enough you'll make it. You might be good enough, but as long as you've got a bank account and a debit card that works, you're a better chance of making it. How does that sit with you?
It doesn't, because as I said before, I've had people with me, and especially in the last 3 or 4 years. I tell you how much I charge, right? I charge $25, no more than 4 kids. And especially on a Thursday evening when some of the ladies drop them off, and they said, I'll be back in an hour. I said, where are you going? They said, shopping. I said, well, you can't do all your shopping in an hour. They said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, as long as it's not more than 2 hours. I said, me and the kids can enjoy ourselves. and that's it.
So $25 a session, you take 4 kids.
And no more than 4 kids.
And so basically your kids you charge for the hour, but you'll give them an hour and a half.
Or more. All depends.
If I recall, this could have been a couple of years ago, you mentioning some people were paying $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 to put their kids through academy.
No, so call it 3.5.
Yeah,
Let's go 3.
yeah.
That's a lot.
And
that's a lot of Stan Ackerley sessions.
And that's quite cheap.
Actually, you are very cheap.
But I know. And a lot of people turn around and say, you can't be any good. I said, well,
I can't be any good. A former Socceroos captain.
I said, sure, I can't be any good. I said, it's cheap.
The difference is you're not ripping off people.
I said, the thing is, the game is being exceptionally good to me.
So you're giving back.
So I'm giving back something.
But I think the difference is because just listening to you for the last hour and a half talking through, you have a real passion, not only for what your love of the game, what you achieved, but as you've just mentioned, giving back. So you have a passion to pass on the knowledge you have to the kids, even if they go nowhere near a Socceroos jersey or a European league. You just want them to be good and enjoy their football.
Life.
What I'm hearing as a non-football guy is the academies you're talking about is people see it as a business.
Oh,
and then they don't necessarily believe those kids have any potential to make it in the EPL or in the Serie A or Bundesliga or
like
I think I've just exhausted my knowledge of what leagues.
If I was going to put on my rose-colored glasses, I'd say that the NPL-linked academies do have a desire to bring players in to help funnel through into their NPL1, NPL2, whatever setup it might be. But there's these separate academies that are set up.
I know.
And they build... they charge good dollars. The parents can afford it. They go on European tours and they do get some success. Like they will get a player who gets signed up as a 16-year-old to go and play in the UK or Italy, and not just one, quite a number of them. But for the number of kids or potentially parents need to be a lot harder and say, my kid enjoys soccer. I think they're a very good soccer player, right? But they're not going to be the next Joe Cole, all right? So I'm not going to drop $3,500 for the next 5 years traveling all over Sydney every Saturday and Sunday for a different academy to give them the opportunity to play. Now, some parents will do that, and good on them. What I'm saying is I think it could prohibit the talent rising to the top because they just can't afford it.
Now, you two explain to me, because
big time,
again, with a nephew in the NRL, to the best of my knowledge, unless my brother is going to suddenly correct me after watching this one, but the best of my knowledge, he wasn't paying for representative football. His kid is a junior. Now, when I say paying, he probably might have had to fork out for some accommodation and different things. But what I mean is there was no academies at thousands of dollars with the hope that he would get there. So, and getting back to Stan, saying that he was identified as a talent and put into an apprenticeship program before he goes into turning professional. So does anywhere else in the world have these types of academies outside of Australia?
I'm not sure what's going on in the UK at the moment, or traditional football nations, I don't think they do. From what I understand, Stan, like if you're good enough and you get sucked up into the Liverpool system, they're paying for everything.
The biggest problem we've got here, you just mentioned, I don't know how many times, is money. Now, years and years ago, I said my son came through. He played in England. He played at Aberdeen under Fergie, and then he played at Manchester United under Fergie, and a lot for a couple of years. The biggest problem out here now, they're charging the kids to play that football. Right? Years and years ago, there is minimal money, right? Because it was there for the kids to learn something. The associations and all this, all sprung up all these academies going. And I tell you, I've seen some of them, 14 or 15 kids for an hour.
You're not really getting much time when you're 1 of 15 in an hour.
Is that, isn't it?
That's right.
And you're not. I mean, I say I'll do 4 kids. So occasionally the odd one come in, sometimes only 3 come in. And they're there. So right, what we're going to do tonight? You look, so come on, I'll tell you. Well, what did you do long on the weekend? What we're going to do? So come on, you help to put a bit of a session on.
I tell you, Stan, if you had to turn me into a footballer, Tony has seen me fill in once for one of his over 70 teams.
Tragic.
I think I stood under the ball waiting for it to come from me. It felt like about 3.5 years. They had an open goal, and I think I still sprayed it to the right.
Remember those classic guys that overrun the ball?
Yeah.
Just get too excited.
That's it.
But he was quick. At the time, he was quick.
Quick.
I was actually fit.
You were fit. You were very quick, right? So you put a ball in front of him, there was a chance. But when he got there, he had 2 left feet.
Really? I thought it was 3. You're being very generous to me.
But this is what happens in the game. There's too many. I can't say after the money, after this, but there's too many these academies going, and half the players who are doing them haven't had much experience.
So what would you do in a perfect world? How does Stan Ackerley set up the Australian pathways that maximises not only our national league, the number of guys getting to the top leagues, and our Socceroos being a genuine chance of going, say, to a semi-final consistently at World Cup?
Well, put it this way. Years and years ago, right, they had kids played on a Saturday. They played the reps on a Sunday. Okay? From 10s or 11s upwards. They had north, south, east and west. They played. Then they had the semi-finals. Champions, or whoever it was, played against Victoria. So the cream comes to the top, doesn't it?
Very
They're
simple
not
system.
lost. All of a sudden, they decided to change it all. Kids only can play vet football. They can't play club football.
I know, and I think that's shocking.
So they're killing club football. They're killing it. All right, up our way, for instance, you only could have, say, 4 vet players in your team. Or sometimes all depends. No, you can't have a 4 vet side. Then on the Sunday, they played vet, but they could be here, Newcastle. Used to play down Wollongong. Used to play all over the place.
So that's
School holidays.
to say you can only play reps.
Yeah, then, but now it's changed, hasn't it? Drastically.
You'd remember, like with your son growing up.
Yeah.
I remember Division 1 when I was under 10s, but I'm talking park football. Division 1 was Division 1.
Yeah.
Right? There was no academies. There was all the best players who were playing football at the time were playing Division 1.
Like when you say soccer.
And then I remember growing up and Marylands was playing Grand Waratahs or whatever it might be. It was Division 1.
Yeah.
Right? And then on the Sunday, as to your point, they might go and represent the Granville Association against someone else.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And to your point, the cream rises to the top,
So,
and the best players get the opportunity to be seen.
now, for instance, we're 3 coaches, right? Okay, you're doing the 13s, I'm doing the 14s, I'm doing the 12s. Right? I'll go and watch this team because I know that you have the trials on the Sundays. You used to the train. Then we start working it out. You go around different games and watch. So the kids are getting more opportunities. Then you eventually say, okay, you got your 36 players or whatever you used to have. So right, we'll have a full day on a Sunday. Bit of training, a few games, bit of skill work. See how they are, what you've seen yourself. You're seeing them on the weekend. You see them with better players. So then you break it down. You see them a little bit more better players. Then you pick a stateside. Or north, south, east and west, what they used to do before. So the kids are getting improvement because they're playing with better players. And so on. So
That's a big thing because there'd be a lot of guys that don't get picked in rep sides, the rep talent, because a coach has a particular view. And if they're not going to be challenged by the rep players when they come back, they're not going to show that they're actually better than maybe someone who got picked and get their spot.
And this was, that's why it's good. I mean, don't worry, my young fella played a lot. And I didn't mind it. But sometimes my wife would go off to somewhere with him for the week when they had the thing. If I was doing a team, I always liked the good places like Darwin and Alice Springs and all that. I used to go there for the week.
Good times.
So it was good. So that what it's all about.
So in your view, will Australia ever win a World Cup?
If it does, it's going to take a long time. It's like everything else. It takes time. And the product now, well, put it this way. At the moment, the product, I think we're having too many players playing the overseas, playing nothing against Scottish football. It used to be very good football. We've got that many lads playing over there
right.
who could be playing here in the A-League. you know.
Is that just a money thing, or still a perception that Scotland is still, part of the UK and sort of the broader continent, and therefore it's a better league?
Yeah, could be they're going to get watched better, being over there and all little things like that. But there's enough people out here watching players, you know. I know a lad who's still out here at the moment. He's all over the place looking at kids.
Did you do any scouting yourself?
Oh yeah. I still recommend players. Yeah, I've got. I think I've got a player.
So when you say recommend, do you have a pool of clubs around the world that you're still in contact with?
No, I've got agents. Cool. I've got agents over there, and I'll say get in touch with you. So look, so and so, and he's been doing a bit of hard training.
So it's too late for Tony and similar.
So when he comes back, when he comes over there, he can get a game straight away. Don't have to start training for 3 or 4 weeks. You know, I've got a lad I've been told he's just come back. Now he's been over there on and off for 5 years. We're talking about players getting pushed out. He was in a lower, he's a stopper. He was playing in the lower leagues.
In the UK, sorry?
Yeah, in the UK. Yeah. And apparently a few clubs chased him. But this club pushed the player down to them. So you're the player. You're my best mate.
Yeah.
And, he's on, say, 40,000 a week. You say, "Oh, I'll pay him 20. I'll pay him 20 to make sure he gets his money." Right? So this young kid gets pushed out.
So have you actually ever been to a World Cup yourself? Watched a World Cup?
No, I have not been to one yet. I may get to one. I said to my missus, "Oh, my God, to America." She said, "Mexico, so. Bit too much travelling."
Now you got to do it.
So can I ask, now there's a piece of memorabilia over here, Stan. It is it's like a pennant that was handed to you. Is there a story behind that?
There is.
Let's hear it, mate, because I think...
Well, when I was captain of Australia, I was played over in Adelaide. I watched these kids play. I had to do a bit of PR work. I didn't see them. Then many, many years later, right, I ran into the kids in the soldiers, 2 of them, in Vietnam.
Wow.
They were in there. Then when I was in Adelaide, we were playing Japan. I was captain at the time, and they don't come and take it off me. I always wanted one of these, and so I decided to do the right thing and make sure when I went off the park, put it in a bag, and the bloke, a bagger, put it in, had an Australian tracksuit on, and straight away, as soon as nobody around, he'd taken the tracksuit off, he had his own clothes on, and it's been in my place since, 1968.
Because there is a photo of you handing that to the Japanese captain.
I know.
And was that a World Cup qualifier as well, or just a friendly?
No, just a friendly international.
Like a 60, would have been a couple of years, obviously.
Yeah,
70.
yeah.
There is in that memorabilia there is a photo of Stan handing this to the Japanese captain. So hold that up for the camera.
Yeah.
So it managed to find its way home.
Yeah. And that is the second time it's been out since I've had it. I've got nothing at home.
Amazing.
When you go into my house, you see nothing. All you see is one picture. Is when I got inducted into the council, all of achievements.
Because that's what you do, Tony. You play sport for your country.
You captain 27 times.
Captain 3 times, 27 caps.
That's right, yeah.
And what you do is when you get inducted in the Council Hall of Fame, that's the memorabilia you keep.
And listen, well, because one of my
if it wasn't for your wife,
kids,
you wouldn't have any of this.
Yeah, one of my great grandkids always turns around and goes, "Nanny." Oh, that's a picture of my wife up there. And Stan. They all say it's Poppy. It's Stan. He always calls me Stan.
How good is that?
Yeah.
So Stan, so what have we had? We've had Man U, we've had Oldham, we've had I'm gonna mispronounce this. Altrincham.
Altrincham, that's a suburb That was suburb of Manchester.
Well, and we've had another one, Witton Albion.
Witton Albion, that's just down the road. That's where the famous salt mines in England. There's a place called Northwich and Witton Albion.
Yeah.
That's only about 10 down the road.
Altrincham and Witton Albion, what was that? Was that?
That's in the Northerns, like non-league.
Non-league, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in between there, I had Plymouth Argyle and different clubs.
And back in the day, was Oldham still playing? Was it the Boundary?
Yeah, Boundary Park.
Yeah, so Oldham in the...
Oldham, they're just 10 mile out of Manchester, North Manchester.
Oldham in the early 90s had a couple of really good cup runs under Joe Royal.
Yeah, Joe Royal.
Yeah, and they made the semi-finals of, I think, the FA Cup a couple of years in a row, and they got knocked out by United, I think.
Yeah.
They were great. So then Melbourne Slavia. I'm going to look up the history of Melbourne Slavia.
Yeah, I think they're owned by, I think I don't know, South Americans now.
See, this is something very different from, like, there's not that many one club people in rugby league anymore.
No.
But generally to someone like me growing up in Australia, this concept that you have a career with so many different clubs, but it's normal in like the American sports and the European sports, very, in fact, can you even name someone at the elite level that's played like for one club at the top level? Would it be someone like what was the under Fergie? There was an Irishman. Was it?
No, but even a lot of those guys would have been brought in, like Roy Keane, for example.
Roy
he would have been brought in from Ireland somewhere.
Ireland,
Yes,
yeah. They'll come over.
It wasn't. I went to Roy Keane, but it's not. I think it was the other one. What was his name? He had curly hair, brown hair.
Georgie Best.
No,
This was the
under
90s.
Ferguson.
Under Fergie, is in Fergie's.
Not Ryan Giggs.
Ryan Giggs.
Yeah.
Ryan
Giggs only played with
United. He came up from Wales.
Right.
But increasingly, that's
because that's really rare.
really rare now. Yeah,
like even if you're a guy on £100 million a year, you're going to have 10 clubs.
but that happened like 5-6 years ago. What was his name before Harry Kane at Spurs? There was Gareth Bale.
Bale, yeah.
He was a Welsh left-sided.
Like Washington.
And he could have stayed at Tottenham, but Real Madrid come in, chuck a whole shitload of money at him. He's gone. Right? Harry Kane came in after him. Bayern Munich come in.
So how many players, talking to two football experts here, and I use the term loosely with you, Tone, talking to two football experts, how many clubs buy players not because they think they're going to add to the performance of the club and win championships, but they're going to add something to like revenue, merch sales, prestige of the club?
No. So that's the American model.
That's right.
And that's
probably the Saudi model at the moment too.
It is, like with Ronaldo going over there earning whatever, and then but even Messi being wrapped up into Miami, right? But now, mind you, Messi's a superstar and he's actually favourably impacted how they play and how they perform. But obviously, there's some marketing behind it. Typically, in Europe or in South America, you wouldn't bring someone on to generate revenue. You'd bring someone on to help deliver better performances and championships. And if you can make some money when you flip them at the other end, even better.
But would you bring them on to generate revenue because you're struggling and what you need is more revenue to then put into more player to drive you up the ladder?
You could, but if you look at that model, look at what Wrexham have done.
Yeah.
Wrexham started...
Just talking Greek to me now, Tony.
So Wrexham are a team that 4 years ago were in non-league,
Non-league.
EPL, Division 1,
Championship.
Division 2.
Isn't Division 1 championship?
No, Division 1 is championship, yeah. Division 2, Division 3, right?
Yeah.
Then it's non-league. So Wrexham were in non-league, and then Ryan Reynolds, the actor, bought them.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you know what? Let's make a Netflix
gotcha.
series.
Yep.
All of a sudden, Netflix people are watching it. He generates revenue. He's buying better players. They've gone from non-league.
Because that's how the
They've gone non-league, Div 2, Div 3, Div 2 English Championship now, and they've grown their supporter base. Half of America's got a Wrexham scarf.
So now talk to me then. What level is a non-league club?
Like
how good? Because to me, if you say non-league to an Australian, right, non-migrant background to an Australian, you say non-league to me, that's like me playing in the park, right? Now I know, I'm well aware that the guys in a 4th or 5th division in England, in France, in South America would run rings around most guys trying to get in the A League, right? But give me a reference point.
It's easy
for where it's at.
NRL, right? Then you've got the New South Wales Cup.
Yep.
Then I think you've got something called the Ron Massey Cup, right? And then it comes down into like park football, like A-grade football, right?
like that.
Loosely, it's like that. So the difference between the English Premier League.
So going from like an equivalent of an A grade that you might have a couple of former ARL players that are 34, 36 into they're now in
the Championship. They're one below the Premier League.
That's impressive.
That's right. But they've also done that, Dave, commercially. They've rewritten the model. Now they've invested in the stadium. As I said, they've got worldwide notoriety now on the back of who owns them and how they've done it, the Netflix series. So it's a whole different model. And now other clubs are trying to replicate it.
Yeah, but why did he do it?
Well,
He could have bought Manchester United.
Correct. I'd say he's done it because it makes great TV.
No.
Why?
But all these big clubs.
Just you're catching your.
Sorry?
Yeah, that's it.
All these big clubs are in debt.
Yep.
Okay.
Now that makes no sense to me as well. We'll go on to that one.
So you're in debt. Here you come to Manchester United or Tottenham or whatever, they're all in debt. They always got, say, 40, maybe 400 million in debt. Right? You go to a Wrexham, there may be 20,000 in debt. You go to another club, there's what, Bournemouth, New Americans, so-and-so, 60,000 or 200,000 in debt. It's better you pay that debt off and start afresh and go to Manchester United, and you're never going to get out of debt.
Explain to me.
They don't ask this question.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask this question. Explain to me how teams like Man U, that even idiot here knows who Man U are. Even idiot here can name a Man U coach, and I could probably name you at least 11 players that have played for Man U. How does a club with such brand recognition, a cabinet full of trophies, how is it in debt? Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Do you think the owners of Man U, the only thing they own is Man U?
No.
The answer correct. So the Glazer family, who I still think are majority owners, they are like a vast American business empire, right?
Yeah.
They don't treat Man U from a capital and funding perspective as a separate entity, right?
I like when he gets his account.
What I mean,
Hey, they treat it as a hobby.
But they treat it as a bigger bucket of money. And at times when they have to pull money out to do other stuff, they will. When they have to put money back in, they will. Like typically, they'd want to make it wash its own face. But when you've got a payroll, when you're paying people £250,000 a week, right? The fact is, no amount of ticket sales or merchandising or TV rights is actually going to generate enough funding to cover that.
Now you're on the point, because that I understand, which to me, why the question stands is surely if that's what's happening with one of the most famous, successful clubs, surely all clubs want to get together and say, listen, are they really going to struggle if he's on £15,000 less a week and across all these players and we can all break even?
They don't, this isn't that.
That's right. The issue there, Dave, is that, you know that comment we made earlier about
talk of crazy talk.
Irrational owners?
I feel like I'm in a glass case of emotion, Tone.
Is there a salary cap in the EPL?
Is there?
No, there's no salary cap.
Now,
is there
as two lovers, should there be?
There is a salary cap.
In the EPL?
Yes. Well, there's one club without waiting. How long's Manchester City won the championship? 5 years?
Oh, maybe 5 of the last 7, yeah.
Yeah, okay. From the first day, they brought the wage barrier. And it's still getting put off. You're a multi-billionaire. You know what I say? Multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
You get all the top people in the world. You don't care how much you're paying them. All them solicitors to keep this case going on.
That's right, because they're under Man City are under investigation for financial irregularities.
Yeah, for 5
But
years.
there's no hard cap.
Wow.
So if you're an irrational owner who wants to win, all right,
That's it.
it becomes a trade game.
Wait,
like,
it's a hobby.
what's it going to take? Oh, well, XYZ club have offered me £75,000. I can give you £100,000.
So summing up the philosophy of owners of huge soccer teams, it's the Ricky Bobby philosophy of sport.
If you're not first,
You're last.
that's it.
Right. And listen to what goes on all the time. It has not changed, and it will not change.
Maybe I should have actually tried to get better at football
I know.
when I was younger. The amount of money in it, I did have the speed.
Some of the things what does
no
go
talent.
on, yeah, it's gone on all the time. You know, when we were on £20 a week or £25 a week, you know, how could be players driving around in nice cars? How can players be doing this? How can be players doing that? you know.
Just on that, before we do wrap up, because we're coming to the end. Sadly, we're coming towards the end of this podcast. Have you, and I don't want any incrimination. I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm not trying to get you, to name names. But in your lifetime of playing football all over the world, were you ever approached, or do you know of any approaches for people to throw games or to, do things? Now, remember, I'm not asking you to put your neck in the committee. All it is yes or no. No names, no direct stories.
No. There was a few stories going around many, many years ago. What was going on on the pools, the fixed odds, and I didn't hear any more about that. And that was it. Otherwise, it's
because to me,
every game I've known, it's always been clean.
Well, when this recent stuff, or I say recent, 12 months ago with the A-League, to me, again, as an outsider, I went, didn't surprise me. Now, that wasn't because I think soccer has a problem. It doesn't surprise me because it doesn't surprise me in cricket. And I think the amount of money that's coming in betting on things, there are a handful of sports, and the same with the NBA recently. There are a handful of sports, I'd suggest most sport, every sport has some easy way to do something to manipulate without having to throw a game. So it's easy to bowl a wide and the fifth ball of an over. It's easy to overstep the popping crease and things like that. It's easy to shave a couple of points off an NBA game once you're 30 in front. The reason why I ask is for football, it's like when you're talking about it's often 90 minutes for a goal. It's like, where does that come from? Is it penalty kicks you're giving away? Is it free kicks you're giving away? Like how would someone do that?
Yeah, it is a lot more difficult because what's 1 of 11? Yeah, there's not. That's right.
Yeah. Well, if you look into it, in the early 60s, there was massive big cases with the the old First Division in England. But where you had the fixed odds, any 4 from 5 or 3 from 5, half-time results, full-time results. Now, quite a few of the players who got caught, right, you were from Manchester prison, you had one of the best teams in England playing for you. Because half of them got 5 and 6 years. Right? A few of them, played for England, here, there, and a lot of them got caught. And it was what they call the fixed odds.
It surprises me that, like the recent one in the NBA surprises me because the sort of money they're talking about, these guys were on massive money.
I know.
Anyway.
Well, it's greed.
It's silly. It was like betting $1 to 1,000 type thing, like what you're getting back for shaving points or whatever. It's odd, but
yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, I said that this business in the UK because it was happening a lot, especially in the lower grades.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? And it's interesting,
So Stan, I just want to say, I've enjoyed it. First, I want to apologise to you having to deal with this clown once every 4 weeks, right? I've actually got some medication that I take when I talk to Dave. It dulls out the noise. So the fact that Dave actually manages to keep you entertained once a month has actually led to you onto this podcast. For me, it's been a privilege. So thanks for sharing the memories. For someone who's invested in football, I love it. My kids go to the A-League games. I go to A-League games. I enjoy it. I'm actually going to try and take my boys out to the Australian Cup final this week if it's in Sydney, again, the Marconi versus South Melbourne.
They haven't made it this
No, they haven't yet. So for me, it's been just amazing, and it's actually part of the story. For me, football represents the story of Australia. A lot of people coming from different parts of the world and bringing something that's important to them into the country, and they're making it part of Australia. So thanks for sharing your time with us tonight, and thanks for Dave for organising it.
No, to me, it's been absolutely terrific. It's if it's going to help the game in any way, and all that. And I get many people ringing me different things. Can you help out here, out there? And because the game's been good to me, I don't mind it.
That's perfect. Well, suddenly I'll say I'd reiterate Tony's thanks. But one thing I'll say that I have said to a couple of people, because as Tony's mentioned, he's very invested in football, and I've said to people in different spaces that I'm invested in. One thing I don't think people such as yourself, whether it's a sportsman, an artist, a musician, realise, because you played for the love of the game and you played to represent your country and do your best, but There are people that watch those games. There are people that went and watched you at Clubland. There are people that watched on TV that you live in their memory for a lifetime, and you give them something that as we get older, we look back with fondness on those things, and you probably don't realize you become part of someone else's life journey and part of what someone else has done. So on behalf of Tony and myself, I'd like to thank you very much for your contribution to Australian football, your contribution to the Socceroos, and certainly giving up your time to come along tonight. And you're welcome back anytime you want. We do know there's a World Cup next year. I know
Absolutely.
Tony wants to discuss it, so I'm more than happy if Tony wants to do it, and you've got the time. We can come on, do a World Cup preview, and I'll sit there, shut up, drink, and you two can go through each team and who's got a chance, because I know nothing.
If only. What do we always say here, Dave?
You have a right to be wrong.
See ya. Take care.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to this episode, and we hope you enjoyed it. Like us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.